So one of my favorite levels is followed immediately with one of my least favorites, Just Enough Rope. The title, as far as I can tell, is an allusion to the excellent proverb, "Give a man enough rope and he'll hang himself." But that doesn't really apply to this mission's situation. In any way. At all. The real problems start with the cinematic. All supposed urgency is undercut by the lack of running animations.
Send word to Ajax. The gate is down. He must move.
Sir, the Trojans are attacking the camp. Ajax is surrounded.
What?
Let's walk briskly to deal with this crisis.
Odysseus, we must rescue them. We'll have to abandon
I hate luck in video games, and this is a very luck-based fight here. About half the time you can save these Toxotes. The other half of the time they're killed before the cinematic even ends. Pure luck. Losing 2 free units would be a substantial disadvantage for any mission. It's even worse on this chapter where I must fight a lot before I can train more. One thing you can control is keep the enemy Prodromuses from killing your Hippocans, which are expensive and valuable. I see this Prodromos stabbing this Hippocan of mine. Prodromus are the guys on brown horses. They're really only good against cavalry, so it's good to micro your cavalry away from them. Alright, I need to send Odysseus down this way. Now, the easiest way to win this mission, actually, is to ignore the objective right now. We're supposed to go west to the town center, then claim it and build a base and so forth. But actually, the enemy is helpless unless we do that. So the quickest way to win this mission is actually to immediately sneak the starting army through the enemy's back door and torch their whole undefended base. But when I started this Let's Play, I promised I'd complete all objectives in order precisely to disallow exploits like that. So conventional play it is. I'm going to grab this relic over here. I'll talk about relics in just a second. Okay. I'll train urgently needed villagers for food. The pigs need to run south because an attack is coming. My army will go north to intercept. And get this person to start building a wall. Down this pass here. Enemy cavalry will be coming down this way in about 2 seconds. There they are. They don't actually attack until they reach your town center, which gives you a chance to get some free hits on them. Now that I can afford it, I want the Husbandry Upgrade immediately. I'll tell you more later, but suffice it to say that it's the key upgrade for this mission. Try to keep the enemy fighting people like Ajax who regenerate and they're tough. Which reminds me, you can see their hack armor is much higher than the usual 50% this time. That's partly because this mission we start with a hack armor increasing copper mail and bronze mail upgrades, but also partly because they secretly gave all our units a bonus hack armor boost for some reason. The initial pig is done, next I'll build a granary by these deer. Hunting is the quickest food source, so do it first. Usually, you should also upgrade it first since this upgrade is huge. This map is an exception because there are so few huntables and feasible locations though. Okay, they've got enough to build their granary now. Right in the middle of these deer should do. I'll have Odysseus drop this relic, actually. It's high time to explain what those things are, but first I need to run him down here where there's another one to claim. So relics are special treasure items that are scattered around the map sometimes. You can order each hero to pick up and carry one at a time, which does not affect combat at all. If you have the hero put the relic in a temple, it then grants a small permanent bonus. Each of the 50 plus relics in the game grants something different. Usually they're not that powerful, about 1/2 as good as most upgrades. The ones on this mission are garbage, but I had some spare time to collect them while building up. In campaign missions, relic locations are fixed. Sometimes the variety is random, and sometimes it's a specific type, usually great for that mission. These missions are specific but weak. In multiplayer, of course, both location and type are randomly decided. I'm going to build another wall up here to keep the enemy away from these gold mines, which I will want to have later in the mission. Have my heroes go out front, so they aggro the enemy attack. Odysseus is moving up here to where I know the relic is. You can see there's an allied town center here. They don't produce anything, they're just there so my caravans, which I meant in last mission, can generate gold from them. There's my starting caravan. Arcantos died, but that's fine. If I put some troops near the body, he'll get back up at 10% HP in a few seconds. More importantly, I've kept casualties among my human soldiers fairly low, without using up any of my god powers, which I want to save. I'll make this a gate to save my peasants some time walking back. Okay, I've got enough people on food, need to get more people on wood instead. And I'll do some of these upgrades while I'm at it. Another thing I dislike about this mission is the slow build-up. We do start in heroic, but with no barracks, few peasants, few resources, and no docks. I can't even go adventuring with my starting forces while I slowly train peasants because we're under constant low-level attack. It's Ajax's turn to tank. Arcandus can take his turn carrying this while I wait to build a temple, and Odysseus is back, so he goes back in the control group. Meanwhile, these guys have finished off all of those deer. They'll go hunt these boar next. Again, do all feasible hunting first. Leave your pigs for later. Not only because hunting is faster, but also because each pig fattens over time, adding to the amount of food it's worth when you do harvest it. My mouse is again doing that thing where I can't double-click with it. Well, this time it's not a major surprise during the middle of a large battle. Troy keeps scouting her base, unimportant except that your defenders will chase them out of position. If my peasant can't fit through there, they can't either. Gonna build a temple. And the granary is finished, I just need to order these people to actually hunt the boar. There's so few hunting animals left that hunting dogs upgrade is just not worth it at all this mission. Gonna keep my heroes out front, ready to tank. I can't put people on lumber fast enough, I need tons and tons of it this mission. That's partly because I start with almost no buildings, and lots of those will cost lots of lumber. Furthermore, I need even more toxicities than usual for defense. My aggressive strategic instincts tell me to build a forward base in this region. That would give me a bit more hunting, among other things. But I found out that's not worth it. On this mission, building closer puts their base into overdrive, where they just flood soldiers at you. A lot of strategy in this campaign is determined by mission-specific AI quirks you have to learn by experiment. Or from me. Need to get these upgrades. But as usual, I need more food. I'll have this villager finally start building archery ranges. I'll need at least 3. I'm thinking about trading some peasants to gold, but actually I'm still short on lumber. That's only going to be more true as I start training archers en masse. One reason I have enough gold is this caravan. Caravans are units trained from markets. All civilizations have cosmetically different but mechanically identical caravan units. You task them to run back and forth between a market and a town center. When they reach the town center, they generate free gold, which they then try to deliver to you at the market. Longer trips give much more gold, so it's well worth the increased time. There's also a bonus if the town center belongs to an ally instead of you, as in this example. But let me actually take these relics and put them in the temple now. So this one makes all my villagers faster for the rest of the map. Let's see how much. It went from 3.8 speed to 4.18, 10% increase, because I have this Cathara of Apollo relic. A Cathara is like a more sophisticated lyre, and is where we get our word guitar, by the way. The other relic I have over here. It's the one that Odysseus picked up first. Pandora's Box. Makes Mythionist train 25% faster. Small benefits, but there's no point in, not getting them. Time to slaughter Wilbur, Babe, and Pinky here. I'm going to do the archery upgrade first, even though that's not usually optimal. Need at least 2 more archery ranges. And then it's time to start training them about as fast as I can afford it. The timing went just as planned. As you can see, my initial defense force is nearly used up. I'm considering using a god power to keep some tanks alive, but I'll refrain. Again, it's not optimal to do upgrades before training many guys. I'm just being lazy. It makes budgeting easier later. And I don't need to remember it during later chaos. Also, the order doesn't actually matter unless I'm attacked with a too small army as a result. Again, food is always in short supply this mission. The number of pigs is amazing, but there's just not time to let them all fatten fully. They gain about 17 food per minute by default, 30% faster with husbandry, which is why you should get that ASAP. That's still about 9 minutes to fatten fully from 100 to the max of 300. Even the full 4200 food wouldn't go all that far anyway. It's always a good idea to control group your barracks so you can train troops mid-combat to updated rally points. I'll just make sure they're all training properly. I'll have the food for more upgrades soon. I haven't talked about some of the basics of pigs yet. So pigs, goats, and a few rarer animals like cows are called herdables. They can be ordered around like your other units. They switch sides to whoever has the most units nearby. Cunning little porcine quislings. If you don't have enough soldiers to convert them, your troops will kill them instead. Avoid that. As I said, their food value increases over time to a max of 300. Husbandry speeds up that rate by about 30%, so do that early if you have herds. It also makes your villagers harvest from them 20% faster, and doubles their carry capacity for all sources of food. This is excellent, particularly for later farming. Geez, it takes a long time to get rolling this mission. I'd better put my soldiers over to defensive stance so they stop running out of position after scouts. During this lull, I'll just remark that Apollo was the god of music, and thus associated with Catharas. Several stories have him gift them to mythical musicians like his son Orpheus, or the real but half-legendary poet Sappho. One of those stories is probably why the relic is in the game. Sappho, by the way, is only slightly unusual in being a real person who is later mythologized. You may think I have enough archers, but the enemy hasn't gotten serious yet. I will stop one archery range from training for a moment at this point though, so I can start saving up a little bit. Got to have money to make money. Speaking of which, the reason I'm not making more caravans is that I crunched the numbers and these ones are about as good as villagers on gold, but cost twice as much food. I'll speed this up by building a storehouse closer to the tree line. Good to do that periodically. I'm finally near my population cap, so I need to start building some houses quickly. One thing the map is generous with is population. They give you 25 for free, plus 7 tents northwest of the town center worth 10 each. Tents, by the way, can be destroyed by the enemy, are very fragile, and can never be rebuilt. Do not let the enemy destroy these precious buildings. At this point, my economy is big enough that it won't take me long to get the 1,000 food and 1,000 gold needed to age up. And that's finally worth doing, unlike last mission where I could win fast by not doing so. Oh, going to the Mythic Age from the Heroic also requires a marketplace, but they already gave me one. Just keep scouting uselessly. So as a recap, the prereq buildings for aging up are Temple, Armory, and Market. Harvesting. There's the next wave. So archers really are just one of the game's best units for most missions, as long as you have something else that can tank for them. Which my heroes do a pretty good job of here. And of course, I'm always going to have my heroes available, so archers will always have tanks available. I do need to get this mouse problem figured out so I can start microing properly again. I'd be doing much better if I could. I'm going to build a fortress near the front. I'll need one of those not too long from now. The enemy for some reason loves to use their side door in this mission. Never the front entrance around here. They always sneak around the side, then go in a big 180-degree loop to where they want to fight you from for some reason. Nope, that side is walled off, guys. The enemy hates attacking walls and just will not do it if there's another way in. Because the enemy uses no myth units in this level for me to focus my heroes on, it's not actually a bad idea to put Odysseus in my archer group. I need to put some more guys on gold, but let me stop training villagers for a moment so I can age up faster. That'll actually help my economy because when I age up I can choose Hephaestus, who is excellent for that purpose. His god power grants a permanent economic bonus worth about 9 to 10 peasants. The constant pressure and casualties have kept my defense force fairly small, but I can go on offense once this fortress finally finishes. Accidental alliteration again. I'll need some hydras to clear a path for my assault force. There'll be good tanks here if need be too. But on second thought, I'll do that after I age up. They cost a lot of food. I should have foreseen that I could win faster if I focused on finishing a fortress and hydras first. There we go. So this is the first time I'm going to the Mythic Age. Zeus and only Zeus has access to Hera here, who's not really useful in campaign most of the time. She has a fairly strong god power that can wipe out an enemy army. But Hephaestus' god power is a massive permanent bonus to your economy. It's like having 3 extra villagers on every resource. His myth units, the Colossus, are kind of overrated, but they're pretty much like the toughest myth unit in the game, so that is something. Hera's Medusas can instant kill enemies by turning them into stone with their special attack, but they're trash in combat, so they're only good against small numbers of elite myth units, which the campaign AI never uses. Hephaestus can make your armor upgrades much cheaper, which is nice. Kind of worth doing. So I'll go to him. What are these villagers doing? They finished that gold mine. That's okay, because I have plenty of gold over here, so let's move over there, build a new storehouse. I walled this place off because Troy loves to sneak towers out there. They're scripted to build a few things this mission. A stable's over here, that doesn't really matter. A tower up here and a fortress up on that hill later on. The other Greek Mythic Age god is Artemis, by the way, and she's basically the best. Her god power would be an instant win on this mission. I don't think she's ever campaign playable, because she's not available to Zeus, and you play Zeus every time you're allowed to go to the Mythic Age. And I will build a Hydra as soon as I have the food to do so. I'll rally it to go over there, since that's where it'll need to start its work. And it's about time to build an armory. I didn't need one to get to the Heroic Age since I started there, but I want one momentarily for the upgrades. The enemy uses many Petropolis on this level, which is why I don't rely on fortresses heavily for defense, which you'll see me do later on in different missions. At last, I can get my own Petropolis. I'm now short on gold, so I'll have more people go to gold, and I'll try to do the upgrades once I can. I'll make you Hydras Group 3 and send you over there. Unlike last mission, Hydras are perfect for something on this one. I'll be sneaking these giant man-eating brontosauruses through their back door. And once the age upgrade is finished, I can start training more villagers and tell them to go harvest gold. And because my food supply is almost running out here, I'm going to do the farm upgrades. Farming should always be last resort, but be ready for it when it's time to switch over. New guys weren't set to defensive stance, so they have to run back up here. Meanwhile, Hydra can wipe out this granary here.
Troy has these farms here that you can steal, but it's not really all that worthwhile.
And I will put down my plenty vault.
This is the Godfire Hephaestus grants. It's invincible, though enemies can steal it kind of like a pig by having more troops in the area. It grants 15 of each resource per 5 seconds, which is roughly equivalent to 3 villagers each. My Petropoli will be Control Group 4, and I'll send them to attack that tower along the back route into the enemy base.
And I'm going to do upgrades.
Don't ever stop doing that, don't ever let the heat off the enemy if you want to win quickly. And don't stop expanding your economy. I need more gold. If I can get more gold, I've already saved the favorite for a useful upgrade at the armory, Forge of Olympus.
Which will make all my armory improvements much cheaper. It's a very good buy, actually. Oh, that's bad luck. The enemy sent a wave up there.
That's very unusual and quite a setback.
I need to send these guys along to deal with that, actually. It's going to ruin my poor Hydra.
And if I'm not careful, it'll ruin my poor Petropolis too, because the Hippicans will go for him next.
So I better train another Hydra. Okay, my villagers have finished with their food gathering. I'm going to send some of them to gold, actually, because I don't need that much food anymore. The other ones I will have build farms here around the town center. Farms are a permanent, endless, but slow food supply. I try to do them last, but here there's just not many other options anyway.
Oh no, do not attack that, guys. That may overdrive the enemy base, which I do not want.
So these guys get back down there. Champion Toxicities are assembled. And I can now do Forge of Olympus, which will make all my armor upgrades cheaper. Move these guys up along there. 9. Start training these guys.
The Levy and Conscript upgrades are very worthwhile for increasing training speed of important units. I'm going to sneak the Petropolis into the enemy base along here.
Another Hydra is done. I've got lots of people on gold now. I'm going to shift some to favor, I think.
More Hydra would be quite handy on both fronts, after all. I'll just keep grabbing the upgrades that I had to put off. You can train continuously, and you can train continuously, and you can train continuously. I am about to hit my population cap. Better build some houses and go fix that. My lumber harvesting has been disrupted. Better build another storehouse over here.
You guys build a bunch of houses.
Just keep upgrading, just keep building more soldiers.
The reason I picked Hydras is that, besides being good tanks,
they can grow extra heads as they kill enemies. That increases their damage, but it's only really useful when you're fighting small groups like these who won't kill the Hydra first.
Alright guys, tear down that fence. I'll sneak these catapults into the enemy base.
When heroes die, they get deselected from control groups they were in before, which can get a bit messy. I have lost a lot of toxicities due to the constant pressure the enemy puts on me. I'll update my rally points to be deeper into the enemy base. My Petropoli can now start tearing down the enemy troop-producing buildings, which they don't defend themselves against. As long as you have some micro and are smart about how you go about it anyway. The next few Hydras should go help the toxicities out, tank for them. I often recheck my barracks just to make sure they're all actually trading troops as fast as they can. No misclicks.
Things are going fairly well now.
Petropoli take down the key buildings, Hydras eat the militia that spawns. Inexplicably, Troy worships Poseidon this level, so their dying buildings spawn militia. Like I said in the very first mission, they're trashy units, but they can chip down a defenseless catapult. The supposed mission is to wipe out the forward base, but actually that doesn't include the towers or granaries, it turns out.
If I destroy all these troop-producing buildings, I basically win.
It's still worthwhile to avoid waking up the enemy base fully until you need to.
Because the enemy will produce troops more or less out of nowhere at a gigantic rate if you do so. So just keep torching this place, just keep torching it. Sneak around in the back now. No need to go in for a frontal assault. Let the Hydras deal with, little humans here.
Uh-oh. I'm going to lose a Petropolis probably, but that's alright as long as I'm making progress on their buildings. Masses of archers here maintain the defense. Aha, they built their fortress. I'll divert this Petropolis here to deal with that. Alright guys, take down their town center next. Not because it produces anything important. I'm still training more, so I don't mind losing this one. I have a new theory about this double-click select problem, which I'll check later on.
Town Center's not actually an important building to take out, just like it can attack me and I want it to die for that reason.
Once it's out of the way, I can safely sneak around the top. Definitely best to keep stealthy about this and avoid aggroing unnecessary enemies. This small offensive force will only work as long as most of the Trojans keep attacking my archers. Oh, they got a Metropolis up on that hill. Can't let them destroy my temple. Darn it, that was bad 2-front micro on my part. I'll target this fortress while I still have the catapults. Ooh, I've aggroed even more people than I thought.
Yeah, that's bad. Okay, at this point it's probably time for a frontal assault.
They're pretty crippled now anyway, there's not much else for it. I suppose I was about one building from aggroing them regardless. Because they're down so many buildings at this point, I don't mind waking them up and making them go into full production mode. I do think it'll hurt my time by a solid 60 seconds or so. This was really a rough draft of a playthrough in general, only my second try.
Still doing pretty well in time.
Now really, even with just 2 military buildings left, their production speed plus their standing forces mean they'll put up a serious resistance. This level always requires a fairly messy fight at some point.
Alright, this way guys.
I do think that with some refinements I could get my time down to under 15 minutes or so. I should spend god powers earlier to skimp on archers for a while and thus build a fortress faster. Forget aging up, just get Hydras and Petropolis out as soon as possible and start the infiltration around minute 10. Maybe some Petropolis for the bottom fronts. This should be the snipes of enemy buildings over the walls during the final push. More Petropolis up here, let me send them by a route where they won't get killed off immediately. Yep, they can attack that next. As you can see, Petropolis have giant vision range. All long-range units do so they can see far enough to shoot. The weird result is that catapults and things like that make amazing scouts. Not every RTS does that, it's a very interesting choice to me. Wow, I really made a dent in these giant gold mines, that's interesting.
Okay.
You guys wreck that, and you guys go Gorbachev on this wall. If you are going to the Mythic Age with archers, you should definitely pick up the Burning Pitch upgrade for this portion. That wasn't really part of my plan, so I don't have it. As I mentioned, for some reason their favorite door is the side one, so they keep coming from that east direction. It's a real nuisance. Well, not at this phase, but it means you can't wall them in well earlier. This is a sloppy win for me, so I've been talking about how to do better, but it's actually solid in absolute terms. Most Let's Plays of this mission I've seen take about twice as long, and since this is one of my least favorite missions, I'll stick with this run rather than do it all over again. I'll have this group sneak around here and...
I've just noticed that Troy has a Catascopo scout just sitting in their base. For some reason they scouted with random Hippicans instead this mission. Weird AI quirk.
That one's down, now for the stables. I'll just keep chipping away, and I'll start moving these guys in from this direction. I am increasingly suspicious that it's recording with shadowplay that prevents my mouse from working properly.
Okay.
Once your infiltrators get noticed once, it really gets a lot harder to sneak more guys in. This is like my third group now.
Meanwhile, these guys hopefully can get to that stables. They can do that, that'll wrap things up.
You can see that they don't even really use their truckload of lousy militia, just rally them to the town hall. I don't think I explicitly said before, but militias spawn in greater numbers from bigger buildings. I got the Forge of Asbestos upgrade, and I thought I clicked the other armory stuff next, but I don't think I actually did. Well, it gives me a chance to show what a big deal it is. This upgrade usually costs 200 each, now it costs 50. That's 75% off of everything, which is huge. I estimate the maximum total net savings as 1,500 food, 1,100 wood, and 1,800 gold for the price of 60 favor, which is amazing. Now what I hate most about this mission is how it undoes all our progress. So here's the final cinematic to do that.
We've regained control here, Ajax. Let's rally the men and resume the attack on Troy.
Arkantos, Ajax, Agamemnon has been attacked.
The Trojans must have hit Agamemnon while we were fighting here.
Pull the men back. We'll meet at the main base camp and see how bad it is.
Well, it wasn't up to my usual razor-sharp standards, but I did shave 10 to 30 minutes off most previous Let's Plays of this chapter. An uninspired run of an uninspired map. But you guys have an excellent day anyway.